Good evening, good evening. So, wow. It's been a enjoyable 3 days off. Well, it wasn't enjoyable the Thursday night. That acid reflux kind of sucked. I shouldn't have ate something sugary that late in the afternoon. So, oats it was, and I put a lot of sugar in my oats, and sugar is one of those things. If I have, a fair amount of it, it'll cause me acid reflux. So, yeah, wasn't a lot of fun. It was pretty nasty, to be honest. Anyway, um, I have, I guess, 7 articles to go over. Um, oh, wait a minute. I don't have one up on the Pope, and I know I shared one out. Stand by while I look. I know I had one. Where it went, nobody knows. No, I did have one. Hang on. Let me actually Google the story. Aha, there it is, there it is. Let me get that up there. Okay. So, I shouldn't have to say this, but I will anyway. I know that the title of tonight's show is going to offend some, and, well, quite frankly, I don't care. And let me tell you why. First of all, we have to go back right shortly before Yeshua, Jesus, was crucified, and the individuals that were involved in that, which were the tribe of Judah and Rome. Romans, Vatican. So there's reasons why I really don't care, and the other reasons why I don't care is because, I'm sorry, but the things that have been accepted into the Catholic Church during this Pope's time is, well, I'll just say it, an abomination. So, yeah. And of course, you're going to hear all the conspiracy theories about this is the last Pope, this is the last Pope. Who knows? I doubt it, but, you know how it is. Every single time, this is the last Pope. We'll see. I have a feeling that they've already got a Pope pretty much figured out, good to go, and just waiting to release the smoke. So, that's the way it is. So anyway, though, I do have an article about that that's talking about his condition. I don't know that he's going to, I don't know that he's going to make it out, to be quite honest. I really don't. Doesn't look good for him. And I pray for him. I mean, as a human, I'm supposed to love him as my neighbor regardless. But it doesn't mean that I have to worship him or idolize him or put him on a pedestal. He's just another man. So that is what it is. Due to where he swears his allegiances, I'd rather not have any association there. So it is what it is. I got one thing to tell you about. Exactly, the Watchman. So we had been working through, part of it out of necessity, but we have been working through some of the stuff that we had put back for preps. And Creamer was one of those items that we had been working through. I've actually I've got a picture here. I posted this on Facebook. That was one of 4 canisters that we put back in 2021. So almost 4 years old, just shy of 4 years old. And so we had been dipping into them. I have. I've been dipping into them and actually finished off the 4th canister last night. And I will say this. 4-year-old great value coffee creamer, left in the plastic, no special anything done to it, was fine. It was both edible and clearly safe. Again, I went through 4 containers like that, all of them from 2021. So don't have to worry about creamer that's been sitting on the shelf or what have you. Again, it was out of necessity. I normally use French vanilla creamer, and can't afford it, to be quite honest. I mean, we literally can't afford it. So I've just been going through the old stock. And then as we can, when we get new, which we've got to build up stock, hopefully we have the ability to do so, I will build it back up, do the same thing. There's one in there now. Got to do it as we can. I'm getting this because it's cheaper than if I buy the French vanilla in the smaller bottles or canisters, whatever you want to call them. But it is what it is. Scrambled egg mix. The reason I've got that down there, not because I'm opening it, because we bought those on sale for like $15 a can. And the cheapest that you can find those online right now is $55 a can. $55 a can. Other brands cost up to $90 for a can. It's really insane. So anyway, I did break down and open up a can of freeze-dried apples because we do eat oats. And so I thought, we'll try some in our oats. Oh my goodness, are they good. So, super, super good in oats. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So again, nearly 4-year-old creamer. And it was both edible. It didn't kill me. Now, I will say this, because now I'm on a fresh canister. I will say this. It did lose some of its creaminess. So, it is, it is what it is. But it was still okay. Yeah, I don't know how hard it's going to get the Watchman. It is insane. I'm not concerned about rent because our landlord, he doesn't raise rent. So, and he's very, very firm on that. He doesn't raise rent. There's a lady that lives right next door. I mean, if there wasn't a wall there, literally, I could just toss a rock and hit her wall. And she had been there since long before our landlord had bought the property. And so he found out what she was paying rent at that time. And I don't want to throw a number out there because I don't remember what he said it was. But it was stupid. I'll say this. I think it was $350, but I'm not 100% positive. It was in that ballpark. And it's like 2-bedroom, a lot bigger than this place. 2 to 3 times bigger. I'd say close to 3 times bigger than this place. And he has not raised her rent a single penny. So that's crazy. But he's just a good guy. That's how he is. So, nah, he's not gonna change, man. Why do people want other people to live in fear? Can you explain that to me? Can you explain that to me? Why do you want me to fear my landlord changing? That makes no fucking sense at all, brother. Knock it off, man. Holy hell. Have you met my landlord? Because we've known him, what, 6 years? I went to high school with his son that passed away. I might know this guy. I might know this guy. A little bit. How many times have you talked with him? I'm just curious. And you're talking about spells and shit? Read the fucking Bible, bro. Take it how you want it, but I ain't about that bullshit. Spells. Read the fucking Bible. Anyway, on to something else. And if that pisses you off, so be it. I mean, yes, he does. Very much so. Very much so. What's any of that matter? Why is it important to you that I fear my future with my landlord? Why is that important to you? Control. Get a hold of yourself, dude. See, I understand why all the fear-mongering goes on around the internet and on YouTube. It's about control. And it's disgusting. And it's why I do my news the way I do my news. Because I don't want you guys to be scared. I just want you to be aware. I'm not going to sit here and fear-monger bullshit. Right. Okay. Well, keep on keeping on. Just don't keep on that bullshit with me. Because I don't put up with it. Oh my God, what if this? Oh my God, what if that? I grew up a long fucking time ago. Anyway, it's just aggravating because it's what everybody wants to do. Everybody's got to instill fear in somebody else. Why? Because it's a minute amount of control. Right? And content creators can use that minute amount of control to get you to bend over and buy the products they push. They can get you to keep clicking on the videos that they make. And it's horse shit. And it's something that pisses God off to no end. Read the Bible. What's it say in there about people that do that? And yet half the people that are doing it claim to know God. I don't get it. But it is what it is. I'm going on with the news. Delta releases information about crew aboard flight that crashed and flipped in Toronto. Now, I've been waiting for this information. And I'm also waiting to find out more about like the voice cockpit recorder in the Philadelphia incident. I haven't heard anything more about that. But Delta did release information about the crew. And says here, officials say the captain was hired by Masaba Airlines in October 2007. They started off with him, which merged with Pinnacle Airlines in 2012 to form Endeavour Air, a subsidiary of Delta that operated the flight to Toronto. Additionally, he has served as an active duty captain and in pilot training and flight safety capacities. Okay, so this is somebody that does training. CBS News learned the first officer graduated from a university with an accredited and well-respected aviation program, and so was able to start working with fewer than 1,500 hours under a restricted air transport pilot certificate. She crossed the 1,500-hour mark and earned her full ATP certificate in January 2023, which is the highest level pilot certification in the U.S., before completing training last April, and has been flying for Endeavour since then. So let's break all this stuff away. She completed training last April, and has been flying for Endeavor ever since, okay? This is interesting stuff. Delta says her flight experiences exceeded the minimum requirements set by federal regulations. Well, that's not saying shit. That's like saying something is mil-spec. Oh, yeah? So in other words, it was built by the lowest builder. It was made by, or the lowest bidder. It was made by the lowest bidder. Wow, mil-spec. Impressive. She passed all of her check rides, and there were no red flags about her pilot skills, a source familiar told CBS News. Well, here's the thing. While it wasn't the worst conditions ever, it was not just a bright sunshiny day with calm air, and no, it wasn't. There was most certainly winds that were whipping around, and that aircraft clearly, that right rear gear, slammed down on the pavement. And I still haven't sat there and gone back and used the video to try to determine exactly where on the runway that she had touched down at. But it looked, I don't think it would have mattered where the aircraft that was, the person in the aircraft that was recording it, I don't think it would have actually mattered where that aircraft was. Anywhere that aircraft would have been, they would have been way down the runway when they touched down. What it looked like to me, like she was coming in hot, and it was absolutely a go-around situation. Looked like she was coming in hot. When you come in hot, an aircraft doesn't want to just settle down. And I think what happened is she realized that she was getting pretty far down the runway and still hadn't sat down. And instead of just pushing her throttle forward and calling it out and going around, she tried to it appears to me, I don't want to get sued, it appears to me that she tried forcing it down. That would be, I would call that a rookie mistake. I would certainly call that a rookie mistake. So anyway, there is a guy that's already lawyered up. I saw video of that earlier today. And, they had mentioned that they had not received any direct communication from Delta or Endeavor talking about the $30,000 payout. However, he did make it clear that that they claim that $30,000 is a no-strings-attached deal. Well, he said if it is, no strings attached, meaning they can file their own lawsuit, then I'm sure they'll accept it. But if they can't file their own lawsuit because they accept that, then apparently they're going to reject that. So anyway, Delta added that claims spreading online alleging the captain and first officer had failed training events were false, and both crew members are Federal Aviation Administration certified for their positions. Well, of course, I don't doubt that. So look, I was reading on some forums, and on those forums, there was some talk about how this works. And again, I can only go by the information that was on the forums. And they claim that Endeavor is kind of like the stepping stone to Delta. So that when you first kind of come in, you'll go to work for something like Endeavor Airlines, which is a subsidiary of Delta. And then the Delta, if you perform well enough, will go ahead and bring you under their actual company or what have you. What I was reading was that if you screw up, Like if you make it to be an actual Delta pilot and you screw up, you get bumped down and literally it's considered like the minor leagues, like Endeavor Air. So who knows about those claims, whether they're actually true or false, and just interesting stuff. But apparently she was a pretty green pilot, and they're wanting to kind of just brush over that. But man, I really do think the reason why they're offering up the $30,000 so quick and trying to get people to accept it is because they don't want to pay out the big lawsuits. And I have a feeling that the gentleman that is seeking restitution or whatever you want to call it, litigation, I'm sure he's going to want more than $30,000. I know a family member of one of the people that passed in the D.C. incident. I know that they're asking. I think it was $250 million. I think it was $250 million. So it's kind of crazy. So that's what's going on with that. I wanted to catch up on what's going on there. Now on the Pope, he apparently he's always had issues as far as pneumonia. He's been fighting pneumonia since he was, I guess, a kid. At a young age, I don't know for sure what age it was. It might even say it in the article, but I believe they said that he suffered pneumonia and lost half of a lung as a result of it. So he's had pneumonia a number of times, and he's like 88 now, I think they said. So that's definitely up there. It says Pope Francis remained in critical condition in an Italian hospital on Sunday as officials shared that he is suffering from early-stage kidney failure amid his treatment for bilateral pneumonia. Francis, who is currently staying at the Gemelli University Hospital in Rome, remains alert and attends Mass on Sunday, according to the Vatican. The Pope has been fighting pneumonia and a complex lung infection since being hospitalized on February 14. The Holy See Press Office published a detailed statement about the 88-year-old Pope's health on Sunday, noting that his condition remains critical, but since Saturday evening he has not experienced any further respiratory crisis. I know they did say that. The thrombocytopenia remains stable. However, some blood tests show early mild renal insufficiency or kidney failure, which is currently under control. So he's receiving oxygen, remains alert and well-oriented. He had actually, they claim it was him, actually put out communication, so I believe this is it here. It says, I have recently received many messages of affection, and I have been particularly struck by the letters and drawings from children, Pope Francis posted on X Sunday. Thank you for your closeness and for the consoling prayers I have received from all over the world. So, yes, that's what's going on there. Crazy. Oh, I didn't even bring it up on the screen. My apologies. So this stuff with Elon and Trump is kind of wild. I'm actually pretty surprised that they're getting as far along with some of it as what they're getting. I figured they would have, I know they're having a lot of roadblocks and stuff thrown in their way, but I figured it would be worse than what it has been, to be honest. Hang on. Gotta have coffee. He even had a judge that ruled that he could get rid of these USAID staffers. And, man, I'll tell you what. They are cutting people like crazy. And I think it's a good thing, because they are not. There's a lot of fear mongering going on out there about them cutting essential positions like air traffic controllers and all of this stuff. And that is not the case. Not at all. Elon had come up with a, what did he call it? A pulse. I don't know if he called it a pulse email or a pulse something. And basically what it is he's going to send an email out to federal workers. And he wants them to give 5 bullet points of what they've done last week. 5 bullet points. And it's kind of comical because there's a lot of people that are really freaking out about that. And I'm like, if you can't list 5 things that you did at work in the prior week, you don't need that job because you're clearly not doing anything. 5 things. I mean, and he even made a point, it doesn't have to be like I saved the world or anything like that. Just say 5 things you did last week. But the biggest intent that he's looking for is whether or not he gets the emails back. And so I think what the plan is anybody that doesn't email him back, those are people he's going to get rid of. That's the plan. I know he's facing a lot of opposition for this, but I get it. And, there are some people that are not necessarily cool with it. I think I even heard Glenn Beck talking to somebody, and he, kind of alluding that it wasn't necessarily acceptable. Bullshit. Again, if you can't list 5 things you did the prior week at your 40-hour-a-week job, then you don't need that job. You do not need that job. There is not even remotely a job that I have ever worked in my life that I couldn't tell you 5 things I did. Not even close. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So again, there's probably going to be a lot of fight back on that. The Trump administration is putting thousands of USAID staffers on leave and cutting U.S. jobs. Says Trump administration said Sunday that it was placing all but a fraction of staffers at the U.S. Agency for Internal Development on leave worldwide and eliminating at least 1,600 U.S.-based jobs. Now, that alone is a pretty big savings. The move was the latest and one of the biggest steps yet toward what President Donald Trump and cost-cutting ally Elon Musk say is their goal of gutting the 6-decade-old aid and development agency in a broader campaign to slash the size of the federal government. So, and this is going to get big. This is going to get big. It's not just USAID. I don't know what's going to wind up happening with the ATF right now. That seems a little bit crazy. I guess from what I'm hearing anyway, I'm hearing that that Kash Patel is, I guess, going to be put in charge of the FBI, or not FBI, well, he is the FBI, but the ATF. I don't know if that's true or not. From all indications I've seen, it is true. And, wow, could you even imagine? Could you even imagine if he's like, we're done with this NFA tax stamp nonsense. We're done with this, fully automatic weapons needing to be NFA items or anything like that. I have a feeling that all of that stuff will disappear. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. A lot of people are worried about, it'll be the Wild West, and, what'll happen then? And the same thing's happening now. Because it's the same things causing that. It's not the guns. It's not the availability of the type of guns. It's not whether or not it's hard to get a suppressor. That's not what is causing people to kill people or not kill people. It's having zero effect on it. Zero effect. We have to improve the country. And once you improve the country, you improve the jobs, you improve people's lives. And you don't do it by doing it for them. You do it by giving them opportunity so that they can do it for themselves. You're always going to have the people that just, I can't, I can't, Believe me, I was raised one side, I was raised that way, complete defeatist, can't ever do nothing. And my dad was the type where there's a will, there's a way, And thankfully, I chose my dad's attitude because, man, I couldn't live with myself if I was a defeatist. I couldn't do it. That is the most depressing, nothingness life that I've ever seen. And no, not going to do it. You give people opportunities. And again, you're going to have people, it doesn't matter how many opportunities, it doesn't matter how many chances you give them, they're not going to perform because they don't want to perform. Sometimes it's laziness, it can be depression, it can be a million different things. Illness, that goes without saying. But those folks aren't in that category, of course. However, there are a lot of individuals out there, if they had the chance, if they had the opportunity, they would seize it in a heartbeat. And unfortunately, that actually, in my opinion, is the biggest part of the American dream. And that slipped away a long damn time ago. And now, people aren't getting paid as much at their jobs unless you work for the government. But then that's people paying more for their taxes. It's just an ugly, ugly death spiral as far as the nation's economy goes. So that's one thing I have always been behind with Trump. I'm not a trumpet. He's just a man. But he understands what it takes to get this country moving financially. And to do that, we need more industry here. Because right now, all we got is a bunch of damn people that take advantage of the system, however it is. That's not just the people that pump out a kid every couple of years so they can get more money from the state. I'm not talking about just those people. I'm talking about also the people that have businesses that do everything they can to get out of paying their fair share. We had somebody asking, I told you guys about this town and how we made it through Prohibition because basically we bootlegged. And they built the tunnels, they built a cavern underground where they did all the brewing and stuff like that. Well, that brewery is still standing. And it's listed as a museum. However, it's the only damn museum I know of that you can't go inside, like ever. You have to quote-unquote arrange a tour. And the lady that was just asking about it in our Highland group said that the number's not even active. So, number's not even active. The property has just been left to rot. There's nothing that's being done to the property. Apparently things are just grown up. Roofs are starting to fail. And it's insane because this is one of the most important pieces of history of this town. And the city's not doing anything about it. Not at least at this point. And that's absolute horseshit. That is literally what eminent domain was created for. That is literally the purpose for eminent domain. The fucking city won't do a damn thing. Probably one of the most, I would say that's the most important building in our town. they done tore down what I would consider the second most important building, and that was, well, it's been apartments for a really, really long time. However, migrant workers used to live there. They were the ones that took the underground tunnels to the brewery to do the job. That's where they lived. However, Abraham Lincoln had actually stayed there and caught a play right here at our Laurie Theater. Laurie Theater's not you don't go watch plays there anymore, but they do have two movie screens. It is a movie theater. It almost fell to the wayside, but an incredible couple bought it and invested and rehabbed the place, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And they're doing a bang-up job of running the place, and so that was saved. But right next door where the Eagle Inn was, the Eagle Inn's gone. And again, it's a shame because Abraham Lincoln stayed there. And I do believe that it was even listed as a historical building. But the guy that, I would say the couple of previous owners that had it just let it go. And again, city didn't do a damn thing. See, it depends who you are here. I mean, if you're somebody like me, you better damn well not let your grass get an inch taller than the code. But some people in this town can get away with anything. And it's insane. The Good Old Boy Network. I tried to help the people root it out. But just like that video of Trump talking about, all the abuse and fraud in government, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We had one guy that was running for a city council seat, and I have no idea why, but I guess he quit. I guess he gave up, not going for it. And you can't get these people to pull their heads out of their drama, put their remote controls or game controllers down long enough to give a shit about the world around them. And I don't know what to say. I guess they're going to get the government they deserve. I don't know what else to say. It sucks. It really sucks because we got one hell of a Good Old Boy Network going on in this town right now. And they're running it right into the ground. It's a shame. Truly a shame. Anyway. So, Russia has made it really clear, shifting gears here, that there are to be no NATO troops in Ukraine. And they've made that very, very clear. Yet UK and France just won't stop. Now they're planning to send 30,000 quote-unquote peacekeepers to Ukraine, says Wall Street Journal. Well, I'm telling you, Russia isn't just going to be, okay, peacekeepers, okay. No, that ain't going to happen. Says Britain and France are drafting a plan to deploy up to 30,000 peacekeepers in Ukraine, depending on whether Moscow and Kiev reach a ceasefire. The Wall Street Journal reported on Saturday, citing unnamed European officials. However, that plan depends on persuading U.S. President Donald Trump to commit to a limited American military role, the report said. While Washington has ruled out sending its forces to Ukraine, the UK and France hope the U.S. agrees to supply a limited contingent with critical support, particularly when it comes to air defense, logistics, and intelligence. Yeah, they'll just come over here and do everything for us, European officials interviewed by the paper insist that without Trump's backing, the European plan to send peacekeepers faces a difficult path. Well, I don't think Trump cares. I really don't think Trump really cares about what the UK and the France want. Trump right now is pretty hyper-focused on getting money back, on getting paid back, because all these other cats that have been funneling money and equipment and all that stuff to Ukraine, they're supposedly going to get paid back. Everybody but the United States. Well, so Trump says that, of course, he wants $500 billion. Of course, I heard Zelensky talk about it, and it somehow went from $500 billion down to $350 billion. But because I think that was the actual money and stuff that was of what was sent was the $350,000, but Trump wants $500,000 back. Well, Ukraine rejects the $500 billion U.S. compensation demand, says Bloomberg. So he rejects it, right? Ukraine has pushed back on the proposed establishment of a $500 billion fund, which would reimburse the U.S. for its aid in exchange for a significant cut of the country's mineral revenues, according to an unnamed Kiev official cited by Bloomberg. Senior Kiev officials have insisted that actual U.S. assistance was worth roughly $90 billion. Speaking at a conservative political action conference on Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump said the deal was pretty close, and we better be close to a deal. He also declared, "We're going to get our money back, and we're asking for rare earth and oil, anything we can get." So he has really been hammering hard on this and not letting up. Well, then it's almost like not almost like, I'm pretty sure he is bipolar and a few other things. But, hang on. So, then Zelensky came back and said, well, he's ready to resign. Says Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky has expressed his readiness to exchange his position for NATO membership and step down if it is necessary to achieve peace in Ukraine. Speaking at the Ukraine Year 2025 forum in Kiev on Saturday, Zelensky said he does not intend to remain in power for many years. If peace for Ukraine, if you really need me to leave my post, then I'm ready. I can exchange this for NATO. If there are such conditions. No, there's not. I am focusing on the security of Ukraine today, not in 20 years, and I do not intend to be in power for decades, Zelensky stated. The Ukrainian leader also touched upon the ongoing row with the U.S. regarding a proposed rare earth deal in which Washington is seeking reimbursement for military aid that is provided with earnings from Ukraine's natural resources. So now, you gotta catch the I guess you gotta catch the little statement there that he can exchange this for NATO. So it doesn't just mean he's going to walk away. He means he's going to trade his position for, to NATO. He's going to give his position to NATO. Russia's not having it. I don't understand what these people don't get about that. The answer to NATO is no. And Trump has made it clear. Trump has made it very clear that's not in the cards. Russia's made it clear that's not in the cards. So I don't know what's going to happen, because you've got all those countries right over there around Zelensky that keep egging him on. And, yet the United States is the one that's been given the most support. So what happens when the United States steps back, if that's the case? Ukraine's going to get hammered. Because when you think about it, the United States is really the only thing that Russia's concerned about. If it wasn't for the United States, I don't think Russia fears Germany and Poland and all of that. I think he'll go right in there and roll all over Ukraine and take it. And if Poland or Germany or any of the other countries try to cause problems, I think he'll roll right on into there and take them too. I don't think he cares. One thing that people, I think, fail to realize is this is not fighting a war in a manner of your, the strongest capabilities your nation has. And of course, we all know they got nukes, but even way before you start whipping nukes around, there's a lot other technology that they're not being used. If Putin was 100% putting his full effort in this, Zelensky wouldn't even be alive. There would be not a single building that involved government standing. He's fighting this war in a manner in which it looks fair-ish, because if he just stomps down on Ukraine as a whole and just takes it right over, the international community is going to throw a hissy fit. Because it's like the big kid picking on the kindergartner. So that's why they're fighting this ground war and all these people are losing their lives. It's not because Russia can't stomp them out Russia can wipe them right out. And I'm not talking nukes. I'm just talking with regular conventional weapons. But that's not happening because that's not what Russia wants. Russia wants NATO to get off his ass. That's what Russia wants. Number one thing Russia wants. Anyway, and they're doing everything they can to try to get him in there. So then, after he says he's ready to resign, well, conditionally, he goes to warning that Ukraine won't pay the debt to the U.S., right? And remember when I said that about $350 billion? Here you go. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky has said his country will not repay the assistance it has received from the U.S. since the start of the conflict with Russia. He also suggested that the U.S. President Donald Trump's estimate that Kiev owes $350 billion is grossly exaggerated. Whoa! Where did that number come from? Trump said that they had paid $350 billion worth between weapons and financial aid and stuff. But Trump is asking for $500 billion. So I like the slick trick there, but I don't think it's going to work. Now, Zelensky has claimed that they've only got like $90 or $100 billion of that, and the rest of it was defrauded somehow. Well, that's kind of one of the things we're saying, is this has been a big money laundering scheme. So that's not on us. That is not on us. I really do hope that any members of the government of the United States that were involved in all the money laundering and all the nonsense that's gone on, I really do hope that they're dealt with. Really do. So I love how Trump works and his administration. I don't idolize the guy, but he after going through a president that you never even seen for the last 4 years, it's really nice to see one that can get stuff done and one that just does not back down. Howdy, Kenny. So anyway, what's the American response here to all of Zelensky's nonsense? Now Ukraine faces tougher terms in the new U.S. minerals proposal. That's right. Trump administration has presented Ukraine with a revised draft agreement demanding full U.S. ownership of an envisioned $50 billion fund derived from the Ukraine's natural resources. While the new proposal contains largely the same provisions that Kiev previously rejected, it appears to be even tougher, multiple media reports suggest. Ukraine was presented with the revised proposal on Friday, the New York Times reported, citing unnamed Ukrainian officials and a draft of the deal. The new document outlines that the U.S. would hold 100% ownership of the proposed fund, receiving the entirety of the financial interest from it. Under this arrangement, Ukraine would contribute half of the future revenues from its mineral extraction to the fund, as well as earnings from ports and other infrastructure. So, in other words, the deal's getting tougher. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's well-deserved. Enough playing around. I know Germany is talking up a big game, too. And I don't know how many military bases that we have in Germany, but I know we got one big one. Ramstein, I know, is a big one. Wouldn't it be the damnedest thing if we just pulled out all of our troops and all of our equipment and just completely pulled out of Germany? I actually would like to see it. It's insane what we pay for military. It's insane. And I'm not saying that we need to pay our military members less and all. No. We probably need a lot less of them. We need to stop being policemen of the world. Plain and simple. Nobody's paying us to do this. And it's sinking our own country. And as time goes on, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and much more expensive. At some point, you gotta stop. And at some point, you gotta start drawing down. In the end, all we've done at this point has pretty much pissed much of the world off at us. We have destabilized and destroyed so many areas, and even if it not being directly, it's been through proxy wars. And I think it's probably a really good idea to step back. Maybe even repent a little bit. One of the things that I do like about Trump is I do think the man wants peace. And it is so nice to hear a president that wants peace. Because it doesn't matter whether they're on red team or blue team. Pretty much every president that I can ever remember was awful damn hawkish for war. Reagan, rightfully so, right? We did need to stand up firm against Russia, the USSR. Let me rephrase that, the USSR. We did need to stand firm against that. But once the Cold War was over, once that wall came down, so should have the Cold War mentality. But it didn't. And it didn't just stick with one side or the other. It's been every single president, except for Trump. Reagan kicked it off, handed over to Bush Sr., then you had Clinton, then you had Bush Jr., then you had Obama. Every one of them absolutely loved being in war, one way or another. You know, it's insane. I know Clinton, you didn't see, it wasn't such an in-your-face war like when we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan. But we were still all over the place doing a whole bunch of stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. There's still a lot of people dying, still a lot of proxy wars going on. Because that's what we've done. Destabilize nations, put in puppet governments. That's basically the standard operating procedure for the U.S. government. And it's nice, at least from everything I can tell, to see a president that doesn't want to do all that. And I hope I'm not being taken for a ride. I certainly could be, and I never lose sight of that I could certainly... In fact, I'm the guy that said for a long damn time, including his entire first term in office, be careful, because they might be pulling the Trump card on us. And it's like, it could literally be that damned obvious. All we can go by is what information that we get. And from the information that we get, and from the indicators that I see, it seems that he does what he says he's going to do. He's not doing stuff. A lot of people, if you talk to the left, and you mention to the left about Obama and all of his drone bombing the hell out of people, many people on the left won't believe it. They'll tell you flat out, that's not true, he didn't do that. But yet, Obama hit more people with drones than any other president. And many people that followed him, that supported him, not only has no idea, but will absolutely refute that. It's nice, at least from what I can see and I can ascertain, that we have somebody that truly wants peace. And at the same time, that's concerning, because I know what the good book says, and I know about that bit of peace. I know that about that bit of peace that's promised and lasts for a short time, and then all hell breaks loose. So, are we there right now? I don't know. I'm more focused on what the Word actually said, that, to watch the sun, the moon, and the stars. And if I were to go by the sun, the moon, and the stars, I would say we're getting there. I did, by the way, before I sign off, I will mention this. I asked Grok this morning, the new Grok 3 beta. I asked Grok this morning, pretty sophisticated question about pole shift. And I was trying to trap it. But the amount of misinformation that it has access to versus what is really happening is too much. I was trying to get it to give me an estimate on when the pole shift would complete. Now, what it did tell me is that although we are not looking at a geological pole shift in any way, and that there is nothing to indicate, and I told it to look at the core samples and stuff like that, right? Because I wanted it to be using the proper data. And it told me, number one, that the poles wouldn't shift 90 degrees, whether they be the magnetic poles or the geographic poles, that it would be a complete flip, 180 degrees. And what it told me is that it wouldn't be, again, it would be 180 degrees. It wouldn't be 90 degrees. And that it wouldn't be geographical at all. It would just be the magnetic poles. That's what it told me. And it did give me a time frame for that, even though it made it very clear that it's really hard to tell. The time frame that it gave me, Grok told me 2055 to 2060. And even that ain't real far off, yo. So, I thought that was interesting. However, I don't trust the information because it did not access the data that's available. And maybe Grok Systems has never peaked there. Maybe it's never been kind of directed with that or asked that. So, who knows? Maybe Grok will learn from that. Maybe after my conversation with Grok this morning, it could very well go out and start looking at that data from those core samples to find out, oh, wow, the magnetic poles have shifted 90 degrees a bunch of times. So, because that information's out there, it's absolutely scientifically provable. So there's no doubt that the magnetic poles have shifted 90 degrees, and there's no doubt that the Earth shifts with it. The geographical poles go with the magnetic poles. How in the hell else do you get woolly mammoths with undigested food in their stomachs because they were frozen so quickly? How in the hell else do you get that? Interesting stuff. And there again, my prompts to Grok may not quite have been enough to be able to push it over that edge to, instead of giving me the propagandized answer, to actually being able to go in and get the data and start using its head with that particular data. And I don't know how to use that stuff very well. What I would like to see is Ben Davison. I would really like to see him really type it up good, and because he knows all the details, all the right things to say. I don't. I'm not that well versed on it, not even close. I would like to see Ben Davison give it a shot and see what it spits out to him. But anyway, I am going to get out of here. It's past 9 o'clock. I am ready to go to bed. And get up tomorrow and do it all over again. So anyway, I'm out of here getting huffed at by the dog, so that means I gotta go. I will talk to you all tomorrow at 8. Have a good evening, and shalom.